So part of what we're talking about here today is how would you articulate the value proposition? So I want you to notice how at some point you have a meeting with a prospective client and there's a conversation about, so would you like to hire me? And typically they want to know things like, well, how much does it cost and what do I get? All right, so Ted's not going to go so much into the what is it, how much it costs part, but the more what do you get part. And then I'll ask him a few questions, and you might have some questions to ask him as well. So Ted, let's just sort of fast forward, and we're at that place, and you've invited me to become a client, and I ask you the question. So Ted, if I become a client, what do I get?
We work together with our clients to help them discover the meaning of true wealth, what money can't buy and death can't take away. What money can't buy is peace of mind from complete and total organization and structured for helping you accomplish your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And what death can't take away is the certainty that all of your intent while you were living have been left in a manner that you so desire. That's what we do.
And what would be the logical next question? How, right? So that's what he does. Did that sound appealing to you? Right, so very appealing. Boy, that's great. Notice it's not very technical. What's beautiful about that, and the reason we were having this conversation over at lunch, and I said, Ted, would you hang around for the next session, and can I get you on stage to do this again? And what was appealing about that, it was so outcome-oriented. It wasn't outcome-oriented like, we will beat the market by X percentage points after fees. It was outcome-oriented in life terms. So when I'm alive, I get this big payoff, and someday I'm going to die, and there's a payoff that I'm going to get there as well. So the natural question is how? So that's what you do. Ted, so how do you actually do that?
Well, first we work together to get you totally organized and everything in alignment with what your personal goals and values are. And then secondly, we oversee your financial life on an ongoing basis for the rest of your life. Some examples of that, that we have a client, that long-term client that we recently lost, and I was meeting with him in hospice and having a discussion about his long-term care benefits and how they were administered and all that, a little more technical kinds of things. And one of the more touching moments of my career is when he reached over and he put his hand on my arm and he said, Ted, I'm not happy to be here, but I want you to know that I have complete peace of mind for what you and your staff have done for me over the last 30 years and for my family. And 3 days later, he died. That's what we do.
Anybody emotional besides me? You know? So the key thing there is there's the outcome oriented. So this is a person who is something of an eMoney poster child. And eMoney, as some of you know, I mean, it's a very robust practice management tool. It's not like financial planning software. It has financial planning tools in it, but it really is a practice management tool. So you could manage all those relationships. It's got a client vault. It's got all these things. But notice he's not, what the temptation is to do is to say, well, let me bring up the computer screen and show you all the cool bells and whistles of the software. Well, how do you do that? Well, we've got this and we've got that, and we're going to play what-if games. And if you want to retire at this age, or if you added more money and did all these things, notice how he's making this, it's a human connection here, not a human pressing the keyboard of on a computer so that these cool things come up on the screen. So Ted, also, that's great, Ted. Love to have that kind of peace of mind, to know that it's all taken care of and that my family is going to be okay, even if something were to happen to me. What are some of the other things that you do sort of in the how-to making these things happen?
Years ago, we were visiting my wife's brother in St. Louis, and he expressed how there are many families in, not in St. Louis, in Louisiana, excuse me, who had literally disappeared legally because of Katrina. And he said, you know, Ted, that could happen anywhere, especially where you folks live in the earthquake country, plus terrorists are interested in bringing down your infrastructure. And so that's when I contacted Edmund Walters, and we had a long conversation. And since then, I've been using the technology that he's developed. And one of the more valuable things is the vault. And we have several of our clients who have a sticker inside of their wallet or their purse that said, if anything happens to me, please call Ted or Kate Gregory at this 800 number. So we're sure, even when we're on vacation, that our support staff is able to get in touch with us. And so I got a call several years ago from a paramedic team and from Fashion Island in Newport Beach. And they said, we don't know why we're calling you, but there's someone here down who has this sticker in her purse. And it says, if anything happens to me, please call Ted or Kate Gregory at this 800 number. Who are you? And I said, well, we're this person's financial advisor. And they said, well, she just had a major cardiac arrest. We're transporting to Hoag Hospital. Apparently you need to know. And I thanked them and immediately called her daughter, who lives in San Francisco, who was getting on a plane to go on a 2-week wilderness trip in Maine, told her about her mom. And fortunately, her friend was able there to help her get clothes together, switch airlines, and she flew down to our office in Huntington Beach, came into the office, and I said, you don't happen to have a healthcare power of attorney with you, do you? And she says, oh no, I don't even know where those documents are. So together we went into her mom's vault. I printed out the healthcare power of attorney. Together we went down to Hoag Hospital, walked into the floor where her mom was sedated, and the charge nurse said, do either of you have a healthcare power of attorney? And our client said, yes, I do. And she handed him the healthcare power of attorney. And right before our eyes, they called the orderly and moved her mother up 4 levels of care. The liability was on her daughter and not on the hospital. So that's one of the ways we use the vault that is provided through this system.
Mm-hmm. So to get that, it's outcomes. So here's a circumstance. So what do you do? He answered that question. So how do you do that? Well, we have tools, we have people, and these are the things that we do that create this. So how are you going to give me that emotional payoff that you said I was going to get? And of course, the tendency among financial people, it's normal, we get trained in all the technical aspects of what we do. So it would be our nature to talk about the technical process rather than how we create the outcome and this is great. It's an emotionally compelling story. So how many of you are having a sense? How many of you did not know Ted before I invited him onto the stage? All right, so leave your hands up high. How many of you trust Ted? All right, all the hands are up. So it doesn't take long. So why do you have a feeling like you can trust him? Is it because he's a technical expert? But it's clear he cares. He cares not just because he says he cares. This is sort of the classic thing that financial advisors do. They say, we care. What makes you different? We care, and we provide better service. I mean, everybody says that. So Ted demonstrates that he cares by the services that he's put into place and has examples of the impact that's had on people's lives. So question, how much would you pay? If you were particularly a high net worth financial delegator, how much would you pay to have Ted and Kate and their team having your back? How much is have your back worth? Right? Get that? So Ted, I know you have other examples of that, but I think we made the point, and I just wanted to thank you for volunteering to share. And I would invite, does anybody have questions for Ted? All right, so we're going to have to play Run the Microphone. So Matt, if you'd run the microphone to Kevin and then bring it back so Ted can answer the question. we weren't planning to do it this way, so we have microphones for what we plan to do. So you're getting the benefit of some spontaneous giving here. Kevin?
Yeah, Ted. Question about what do you call your service or your system where you incorporate the vault and the tool? I think I forgot what you said at lunch. If you could share that.
Wealth management services.
He doesn't say it's eMoney. Right? So eMoney is the engine that drives his value proposition. The value proposition is it's a wealth management service, and there may be other things. I think that's what we were sort of impressed with at lunch. Again, it had nothing to do with the, excuse me, it's very obvious from listening to Jason and learning about eMoney, it's all branded for you. eMoney isn't trying to get you to brand eMoney for your clients. It's a tool for you to elevate your value. Other questions for Ted? Right here. Thanks, Matt.
Logically speaking, what quantity of clients can an individual have, one person in your capacity, to do the type of service that you seem to be doing? In other words, they're calling you for almost everything, in the financially anyway. So what would you say the number of clients would be that you could service as an individual, not your firm, but as an individual, to make the relationship and the bond one that is like you indicate?
40 to 60.
Question over here.
Ted, do you charge financial planning fees? And if so, how do you gauge them? How do you set them?
We do charge for financial plans. Our fees range from a single module plan of $1,500 up to a maximum financial planning fee of $30,000. The $30,000 was justified with the Department of Corporations because we would use part of that fee to pay the client's CPA or attorney for supplying us with the support that we needed in order to generate a responsible, full financial plan. I don't say comprehensive because we were told by our attorney not to use that word, because if we miss an island in the Cayman Islands as part of a comprehensive plan, we're in court and we lose. So comprehensive is an illegal word as far as our firm is concerned. Full.
All right.
Our average fee range, just to answer that, would be $3,500 to around $8,000 to $9,000 per plan. What I have initiated is if they, at the time of the completion of the plan, if they have moved all of their assets over, then I waive the second half of the fee, telling them that our compensation for doing the ongoing planning is through the fees that are being generated from their assets. And if they aren't sure what they want to do, they pay the second half of the fee, and I thank them for their confidence. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, I didn't see that. Good eye.
Ted, Jason with eMoney Advisor. From an aspect of, one, not being an advisor, but being the sales rep for eMoney Advisor, one thing that I always like to ask advisors who I do meet with that leverage and use our system, have you seen, because of the technology, that it's been able to help you have a better connection with your client because you have a place to streamline that? So from a advisor standpoint, I always meet with advisors and they say, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to roll this out. I don't have the time to do this. From your standpoint, do you think by leveraging technology, it gives you more time to focus on your client's goals and needs and wants?
Thanks, Lisa.
I believe I would call that a shill question.
He still wants you to answer it, though.
The answer is yes. It does provide for more efficiency so that we have more time to deal on a personal level with our clients. But by the same caveat, so to cover the integrity issue, as Bill and I were talking, we changed broker-dealers 5 times every time an insurance company bought out our broker-dealer and the agenda changed. And so finally, we got tired of that. And so we went totally independent about 8 years ago. And the only question we got from our clients was, where are we going now? And so the same thing with the technology. If the technology that we are using becomes not what we need in view of what has else evolved, we would switch.
You've been warned, Jason. Keep the technology up and innovating. Certainly, you guys seem to be on the forefront of that. Well, how about some appreciation for Ted? Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Bill.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for coming.